2021.
Commuters eagerly await reopening of Accra-Tema rail line service, which was shut down for construction work.
Sand and Stones Contractors Association cracked the whip to ensure sand and stone winners and transporters live up to their tax obligations.
And Ethiopian Prime Minister calls on all civilians to join the armed forces as fighting rages in multiple regions.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to News Hour, brought to you live from our studios here in Accra. My name is Michelin Taka.
And mine is Clara Mlano. Headline sponsored by Manchi Biscuits, Munch into Happiness. The news is live on GBC, GTV and DSTV on channel 278. We are streaming on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. To help us with the sign language is Jonathan Intimdako. Now the news in detail. University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has confirmed receiving an injunction from the Labour Commission to call off their strike and a notice to appear in court on August 16, 2021. The leadership of the association says their lawyers yesterday, Monday, August 9, 2021, filed a motion asking the court to set aside the injunction from the National Labour Commission. The commission on Friday, August 6, secured an interlocutory injunction from the courts to compel UTAG to call off the strike, which started on Monday, August 2. The injunction is to last for 10 days. The president is continuing his working tour of the northern sector and spent 2 days in the Bono East region. It was an opportunity for the people of Nkranza to thank the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, in person for his initiatives in the area. When President Akufo-Addo paid a courtesy call on the paramount chief of Nkranza traditional area, Nana Kwame Bafo, the paramount chief mentioned decentralization of state institutions beyond regional capitals, construction of a district hospital, the start of phase 2 of the Jema and Kwanta Asetre Road, among others, as some projects in Nkranza is benefiting under the president's tenure. On the thank you list of the paramount chief of Nkranza traditional area, Nana Kwame Bafo, and his people, the construction of a dining hall, a 12-unit classroom block, an assembly hall, and a 2-unit girls' dormitory block for Nkranza Technical Institute. This is in addition to the putting up of 16 3-unit classroom blocks across the district in the first term of President Akufo-Addo. Bono East also benefited from a new nurses' quarters in Tumiebu, a maternity block at Dumankese, and an ambulance for Nkranza. The Jaman Kwanta Asetre Road, when complete, will shed off some 3 hours travel time between the North, Bono East and Ashanti regions.
Nkranza yenya Education Directorate, uko Kintampo so yenya Health Directorate. Zo, enti osi ade yo na umka na asan edini bo hyeso. Zo, ena uko Nkranza North wa maye Nkranza ye free second senior high school by my car. Wamaye nkunya 3-unit classroom Nkranza here oba proso bra hoho Methodist school and Nkranza preparatory B ni nyina ye enema waye wo ha say for education. President Akufo-Addo also paid a courtesy call on the Omahene of Techiman, Osiadeyo Ameyaw Ekumfi. The president also inspected ongoing works on an 18-unit classroom block for the Techiman Senior High School. Nana Akufo-Addo inaugurated staff bungalows for the Bono East Regional Coordinating Council and a 2-story assembly complex building in Nkranza for the Bono East Regional Coordinating Council. Also, the President Nana Akufo-Addo says the government is contemplating establishing a medical school at the University of Energy and Natural Resources and upgrading the Bono Regional Hospital into a teaching facility for the needed boost to healthcare delivery in the country.
Nana Akufo-Addo was speaking during a courtesy call on the Sunyani Traditional Council and also announced that funding has been secured for the $200 million Sunyani water expansion project, with procurement ongoing for actual work to get underway very soon. The president has stated that his 2-day working tour of the Bono region will be fruitful.
The president tour of the Bono region started with an interview on GBC's radio BAR in Sunyani before his meeting with the Sunyani Traditional Council. Welcoming the president, the contingent of Sunyani Traditional Area, Oboaman Bufutia Boamponsen, called on the president to consider establishing a medical school and upgrading the Bono Regional Hospital into a teaching facility to serve it. He also urged the president to expedite work on the Sunyani Airport Rehabilitation Project, the road works on the new Doma-Yuwahima Road. Still on roads, Nana Boamponsen called for work on Sunyani town roads to be stepped up, while complaining about the quality of work done by the contractor on the new Doma Road, which is already deteriorating. Nana Bofutia also touched on sports with an appeal for the Sunyani municipality to get a stadium to boost performance in football and other sporting disciplines. In response, President Akufo-Addo assured the chiefs the government's readiness to carry out the project mentioned by the contingent.
Teaching hospital, no there. Minister for Health, don't see what he grown this year. What can't and what's so much me the down. You should share 1 year. I made me about to say, the medical school, so I will Sunyani have the teaching hospital attached.
The president also visited the Burikum traditional area, where he paid a courtesy call on the Omahin.
A 14-member working group has been inaugurated to support government to execute Ghana's mandate as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. The Foreign Affairs Minister, Madam Shirley Ayokoboche, tasked the team to propose inputs that will ensure the effective participation of Ghana in the Council. The country's membership runs from 2022 to 2023.
The group is expected to provide the requisite support to our permanent mission in New York in particular, and to the ministry in general, in order to ensure effective participation in the work of the Security Council during its tenure. The terms of reference of the group, which you will have the opportunity to review, include proposing inputs based on Ghana's priorities for inclusion in resolutions, developing positions on Ghana's theme for approval by government, developing positions on the themes of other members of the Council for approval by government, and proposing inputs for resolutions being considered by the Security Council, among others. We look forward to benefiting from your expertise and rich experiences as we work to realize Ghana's vision for the Council from 2022 to 2023.
It is with great anticipation that major users of the Tema-Accra rail line, especially traders and workers, await the reopening of the rail line service, which was shut down for construction work to start. GBC News visited the site following news of its scheduled reopening, as disclosed by the Railways Development Minister, Mr. John Peter Amewu, in Parliament last week.
The Accra-Tema rail line was temporarily closed down because it had to go through some concrete works along a route at Aveno. Information reaching GBC News is that by the end of August 2021, it will be open for passenger services. But since its closure, what has been its economic impact on Ghanaians?
Since the construction works have been halted for some time now,
3 months no mo de enua we begu ha se omo be maintain kwan no ba omo nya ma ha biem animu wo ha omo ye gata no wo animu a na gata no to nya sisi a na omo bewie omo ha ase ache omo ha ase be 5 months ni ba omo nyama ho bim de omo atwa kwan no mu mienu the training to me cross bi mu osisi a ne pane nyina na etweko trotro de ye adwuma bibiri so be fro train no na ma traffic ya ba krom bibiri no so atikakra de omo bi da fi say fine.
I have not seen any rigorous activity on the rail line. The current state of the rail service is affecting all of us, especially traders.
Inti train boom and among business activities near fast mom.
Updating Parliament on the current state of the rail line, the Railway Development Minister, Mr. John Peter Amewu, assured the House of resumption of service by the end of this month. However, a section of the public has expressed some misgivings about the minister's assurance.
They just put materials around, but they are not coming. When since time that they are trying to do the road, they can see the people come with manpower, some 5 subos or 3 subos. When they do small, then they go.
Seeing the thing was yourself, I don't need to tell you. The evidence can show you that this, what he's saying, is not going to work. Because no work. You see, there are no workers here. Look at the waste that they've left. When are they coming to collect it? The hope is, you can see by yourself. I don't need to tell you. The evidence is will speak.
For now, it is a wait and see attitude with regards to the resumption of rail services on the Accra-Tema rail line. For GBC News, Ofriwa Dako reporting.
The Minister for Railways Developments, Mr. John Peter Amewu, last week on the floor of Parliament told the country's lawmakers that the Accra-Tema rail line is expected to reopen for passenger services by the end of August 2021. Officers at the Saprochuna train station at Sakumono say some renovation must be carried out at the station and the dust pollution from a nearby warehouse stopped before the takeoff of the train services.
In 2007, under the tenure of former President Kufuor, the Accra rail line to Tema was extended to Asaprachuna after almost 2 decades of it being dormant. Since then, train services bounced back with regular passenger services. In 2012, the train service was suspended for some renovation works on the line. In 2017, the service was suspended indefinitely after the derailment of an Accra-bound train from Tema at the Santana train station. Since then, the train service from Accra to Tema has been unstable, but in January 2019, rehabilitation works were completed, allowing for the resumption of the passenger rail services along the route. But when COVID-19 broke out in Ghana in March 2020, all passenger rail services across the country were suspended due to the non-adherence to the prescribed safety protocols by passengers. Answering questions on the floor of Parliament last week, the Minister for Railways Development, Mr. John Peter Amewu, said the Accra-Tema rail line is expected to open for passenger services by the end of August 2021. A visit to the Asaprochuna train station by the news team shows a lot of deterioration at the station. Chairs for passengers while they wait for the trains are rusty and the entire premises dusty. The railway's car park is now being occupied by a warehouse, and the station officer says the warehouse pollutes the area with a lot of dust. The station officer, Mr. Emmanuel Wood, told GBC News that they are surprised at the announcement that rail services are set to resume, but there is a lot of readying to be done at the station before the trains can take off from the platform. A resident and a patron of the train service who spoke to GBC News was worried that the investment made into the rail station is almost wasting away because of the activities of a few individuals.
There are many workers who patronize the 24-kilometer Accra-Tema rail service and would love to see it work again. For them, when the service actually does resume, it will be their preferred choice of travel since it will cut out traffic for them and reduce the travel time.
The Sand and Stones Contractors Association is enforcing compliance with the Mining Law on Sand and Stone Winning and Transportation Act 703. The law is designed to ensure that sand and stone winners and transporters live up to their task obligations, operate in a manner that is safe for all. Due to blatant disregard of the law by some members, executives of the association teamed up with the police to swoop on offenders in the Ashanti region.
The Consolidated Council of the Sand and Stones Association of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, and the Progressive Transport Owners Association, PROTOA, constitutes the umbrella organization for the Sand and Stone Contractors and Transporters Association, which has about 1,000 members in the Ashanti region alone. They acquire stone and sand winning concessions across the region for construction, especially of buildings. Operations of both the contractors and transporters are regulated by the Mining Law Act, Act 703. The swoop was to check overloading and ensure that the sand and stone transporters cover the load with tarpaulin. This is to protect other road users and members of the public from the dangers posed by sand and stone winning and transportation. The exercise was also to educate the sand and stone transporters on what the law requires of them, such as the need to have a way bill and other official receipts, among others. It has been noticed that some of the sand contractors connive with the drivers to breach the laws, especially on the payment of the way bill. This was confirmed when the national chairman of the association confronted one of the contractors, Mr. Kofi Teria, who tried to give excuses. His excuses were rejected and he was arrested. Other transporters found flouting the regulations were made to either pay spot fines or sent to the Mamponting District Police premises. Two of such drivers, Mr. Sule Yamba and Mr. Christopher Avie, explained to GBC News the charges preferred against them by the enforcement team.
One of
the drivers, Mr. Kwame Owusu, was among the very few drivers who fully complied with the regulations. He commended the enforcement team for the swoop, since, according to him, it would bring sanity into the system.
The
national chairman of the association, Mr. Peter Kwame Donko, told GBC News that all the money realized from the spot fines would be paid into the mining fund established by the government.
Failing to take the way bill is 500 Ghana cedis. The tarpaulin also attract the same fare. Overloading to attract the same 500 Ghana cedis. It goes to the Mineral Commission's account.
The collapsed bridge linking Kori Alabieri in the Bolsa North municipality of the Upper East region and other communities in the area to the municipal capital, Sandema, is slowing down economic activity. Residents are sending an SOS to the authorities to help with reconstruction of the bridge to revive the socio-economic activities of the people.
The bridge, which connects residents in Korea Labieri and other communities in the area to the municipal capital Sandema, has been in a deplorable state since 2015 and is now a death trap. According to the residents, the deplorable nature of the bridge was affecting healthcare delivery, education and farming in the area,
since most drivers were unwilling to use the road. The few who tried to use the road also charged exorbitant transport fares. The residents told GBC News they have lost count of the number of accidents that have occurred on the bridge. A resident of Korea Labieri, Mr. Baron Akomta, said the road is inaccessible whenever it rains.
Access from here to town to the district capital, in fact, is too pathetic for us. So we are appealing to the government to come to our aid and support us.
Another resident of Korea Labieri, Mr. Daniel Akpaliuk, said teachers and nurses who commute from Sandima to the school and the CHIPS compound in the community due to lack of accommodation at their various workplaces are unable to report to work whenever it rains.
We have lived in this condition for a good number of years. Anytime someone is sick, we can't call an ambulance to come here to send the person to hospital because the nature of our road is not in any good shape.
Farming is the mainstay of people in the area. Even though some of the roads in the Busa North municipality that were washed away in 2012 and 2016 have been awarded on contract, contractors are yet to move to site. Almost all the roads connecting the communities to the municipal capital are pothole-ridden.
Over the last decade, exclusive breastfeeding rates have dropped from 63% in 2008 to 43% currently. Health experts say this situation has also been aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Rebecca Kuma, a registered general nurse at the Ghana Health Service, in an interview with GBC News said optimal breastfeeding, as recommended by WHO, is very important. She urged busy mothers to extract and store breast milk at the right temperature so their babies could feed while they are away.
Optimal breastfeeding simply comprises of adhering to the standards of breastfeeding practices. The standards include starting from the labor room. Immediately a mother delivers, you are supposed to initiate breastfeeding within the first hour of birth. Then it continues to say that with optimal breastfeeding, you need to give colostrum to the baby as well. You know, the colostrum is the first milk that comes within the first week of giving birth. It is thick, it is yellowish in color, and then usually most of our mothers tend to feel that it is a dirty milk. People even have myths and misconceptions about that particular kind of milk. And then also continue to exclusively breastfeed the child up to 6 months, then slowly introducing safe nutrition and age-appropriate complementary food. You know, you can store the breast milk for as long as a year, even in the freezer, if it is frozen. Right. So what we advise working mothers who are returning back to work is that you express the breast milk, store in safe and appropriate containers or bottles for storage of milk at the right temperature, and can be fed. The baby can be fed with cup and spoon while she goes to work and come back. During exclusive breastfeeding, water is not needed at all. The breast milk itself comprises of water. The major composition of the milk is water, and then you have carbohydrates, lipids, and then protein in it. So it's a complete meal for the child within the first 6 months of life. So mothers need to appreciate that when you exclusively breastfeed your child, the child tends to grow well. They don't have all these childhood issues, allergies, diarrhea diseases.
21 farms in Greater Accra, 3 in Central, 2 the Volta region and 3 in the Shanti regions have been affected by the outbreak of the avian influenza or bird flu. The Chief Veterinary Officer of the Veterinary Services Directorate, Dr. Patrick Abeke, says the Directorate is working to curtail the spread in the country. He urged poultry farmers to report to the Directorate if their farms are affected, and if that affected farmers will be compensated.
I assure the farmers that we are also doing everything possible that whatever birds that the Veterinary Services Directorate destroys, we will make sure that you will be taken care of. You will be compensated for the best. What we've heard of late is that on some of your platforms, the message is that they should not allow the veterinary services to come in and destroy these birds because they are sure that they will not be compensated. This is false. If you do that, we will not be able to contain this disease. It is spreading. And it is our livelihoods, the poultry industry that is at stake. That's why we are trying to stop this disease from spreading. So if you are doing that, you are not helping us. The ministry is doing everything possible to make sure that we contain this disease. So far, apart from Greater Accra region, we have had 3 farms in the Central region, 2 in the Volta region, and 2 farms in the Ashanti region. We do not want this disease to spread beyond these farms. And we are doing everything possible to make sure that we contain the disease. And we cannot do that without your help.
The Upper West Regional Health Directorate is calling on religious and traditional leaders to take up the center stage in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in the region. The directorate said the sharp rise in cases recorded this year, which stands at 417 against 97 last year, is as a result of the total disregard of the COVID-19 safety protocols. The region currently has 12 active cases, all of whom are in self-isolation. Swala Abdul Wahab has more on this report.
Upper West Region last year recorded 97 cases of COVID-19. But from January to August this year, a total of 470 new cases have been recorded. In front of me is the lorry station, and on my right is the market. A visit to those places indicates that many of the people there are not complying with the COVID-19 protocols. These, the health authorities say, is a source of worry for them.
At the beginning of the pandemic, the fear element was there. And so in every society, when the risk is perceived to be very high, people usually would comply with some of the safety measures. And so because of that, all the safety protocols that were put in place were religiously adhered to. Last year, if you walked into any gathering without wearing a face mask, it was not the norm. You were seen to be coming from somewhere else and not within the confines of this our region. But fast forward 2021, people no longer perceive the same degree of risk. So they have come to accept COVID as being one of those usual things. And so everybody appears to have let down their guards. Now when you walk into the same gathering and you are wearing face masks, you are the odd one out.
Health authorities in the region are calling on traditional and religious leaders to reactivate their involvement in the fight against COVID-19.
I think at the beginning, we got the support of all stakeholders. We got the chief imams, we got the religious leaders, we got the chiefs, and all those who matters coming on board and talking to our people. I think we need to revisit those steps and ensure that we talk to our people that the pandemic is not over yet, and that we need to ensure that all things are done right to ensure that this pandemic is defeated once and for all.
Reporting for GBC News, Swala Abdul Wahab. Wow.
It's News Hour live on GBC News. Maurice Ogbete is standing by with the business segment. Please do stay.